Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild gets a new name and a release date. God of War announces a limited edition DualSense controller, and Tekken 8 gets announced. We'll be talking about all of that and more as we cover the Nintendo Direct and the state of play. Stay tuned.
Streamcast.
Hey yo, welcome to another edition of the Streamcast. I am Jin Kazama, and I'm joined by...
That's a good one. I wasn't expecting that. I told him Thor. I just want to say that I thought Thor was better. Representative of the new man, nice and thick. I am Little Fox.
Today is not the day to be body posy. There will be other times for that.
Yeah, it is always a time to be body posy, please. It's winter. It is the time to be body posy.
You know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. As I said in the opening bit of the episode, we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct and the state of play. I'm not sure if we've ever had both presentations on the same day.
It's normally the same week.
Same
if
week,
anything.
yes.
Yeah, never the same. Not that I know.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone will be in the comments. It was in 1995 that one time they tried it out. It was the same. Yeah, okay, fine. But to our knowledge,
Actually, 12th of May 2020.
To our knowledge, no, just first.
So we had the Nintendo Direct first earlier in the day, and I wasn't able to watch this because I had other masters to serve work. Now, Troy, were you able to catch a lot of this Direct?
I caught a lot. I caught most of it. I was interested in probably maybe 30% of it, but I caught most of it, yeah.
All right, cool.
He's laughing. So earlier, my summary to... By the way, if I cough, sorry, I have a cold and a flu and whatever is going on with my body right now, but cool. I had to bring this to you. So I was looking to... we was talking about this earlier, and I mentioned that the Direct is the AEW of that day, particularly their pay-per-views. Anyone who's familiar with wrestling will know their booking is crazy. 15 matches one night. It doesn't make sense. I was going to say there's no quality control. That's a lie, because the matches are pretty okay, but they could cut it down. They really don't need all of them there. It's just poor. That is Direct, in my opinion. You can argue in the comments if you want, but there's no way anyone can say... If this is taking out whatever our favorite games are, right? Everyone has their favorites. There's no way they need to shift all of that in one Direct. If they do it every quarter, every 4 months or so, it's September. They could do one in December or early January for the games coming out then. Some of these things weren't needed at all. We didn't need so many farm simulators. A couple for the season, I'm with you. One for summer 2023, you're taking a piss. Like, we don't need that much of... No.
Farming Simulator makes so much money, though.
No, I don't care. We can wait. Like, strategy, please. It was just a lot. And one maybe that might be... I don't think it'll be controversial. Is the Splatoon one, Splatfest? That could have waited till Friday.
Yeah.
They could drop that on Friday. That's coming next week, and that's its own thing. That didn't also need to be shoehorned in. Then I didn't realize Capcom had a thing. So the Resident Evil and relative Capcom stuff didn't need to be yesterday. That could have been moved to today, because they already announced the Resident Evil 4. So it could have been Resident Evil coming to Nintendo Switch. And we've got 4 coming. No, I'm just going to shove all the Nintendo Switch stuff again, shoehorning it, making this big. Do you see how it can be cut? And cut SpongeBob. I don't care what the sponsorships are. We didn't need that long. Like, you could have done that in 30 seconds max. We know what SpongeBob is about. Great game, voiced by the actual voice actors, available on Switch. That's all we needed. And then if you need to, a proper trailer afterwards that you can put on your channel, use your people. But that's my rant on the AEW of the gaming world. Aside from that, it was all right.
Okay, there is a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But I will first of all say that I think your analogy is perfect. I think Nintendo Direct especially was very AEW, with how much they tried to squish it in a 40-minute presentation. They didn't need all of that, as you just said. I don't like the fact that they keep trying to push games that have been out on other platforms and push it as if it's a big announcement in their directs. I don't think that's the best use of time,
Hmm.
but I don't know a really good alternative to that, because how do you get around that?
I think I don't think you can. I think if you're indie or indie game, so if you hear any screaming about it's sleepy time, I can't control that. If you hear any, yeah, so I apologize about like okay, tears, tantrum, and the thing is, so it is a tantrum. She will fall asleep, like she'll just calmly fall asleep after crying, complaining, and asking for different things. She does the child thing of finding a way to stay up longer when it's so unnecessary. Anyway, that's it. If you heard that, again, so you got my cough to deal with, and that I'm really sorry. I feel like if you're going to bring the indies there, you can mention it. This game was popular on said platform. It is coming to the Switch. I think it's like bringing a big game. So the two games, Teenage, which is why I'm Little Fox, and Sifu, obviously are really big indie games on relative platforms, like really, really big critical acclaim, things like that. So for it to come to the Switch and take two, does take two? I mean, it takes two. Take two.
I would say so.
They're really big games, right?
Yeah.
They're for the platforms they are. So for it to come to Switch users are a big thing. I don't know whether you need that much time though, because I think because they're so big, people be aware that in itself is an announcement to just be like, it's coming to the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
These awards, critical acclaim, whatever stars on Steam. You can do this, this, and this. Really quick cut trailer, boom, you're kind of done. Because we already know most people would have a back in, but the trailer should be for me impactful enough for me to come back and be like, oh, what is that? Let me go and I mean, YouTube, you're probably watching YouTube anyway. Most people might be dual screening. Let me just look at my phone, like whatever I need to look at and search it up. Sometimes they feel that's a bit too much for certain games because you can. What they gave us for GoldenEye was really short, with basically nothing. But it's because of the game, it's high impact. It works. Like everyone's hyped. That's what you do. Like,
yeah.
But I don't mind personally. I don't mind the indies. I know there is a Nintendo Indie Direct. But the big ones, almost like you're bringing it to the big boy show because they are big games. I don't mind at all. But maybe, especially if they've been, like you said, they've been out on other platforms, most people would be aware. If not, those who aren't would search. Because that happens a lot, right? In these directs, you're on your Twitters or whatever, TikTok, whatever, and you're looking at it and people are like, oh, this game's coming to Switch. I've been looking forward to it, hearing it. So even if you don't, they already have that build up.
Exactly. And I think what you said is a really good alternative, actually. GoldenEye was arguably the perfect announcement for a game that we've already heard of. Very minimal, but you know what's coming. And I think they could have applied that to Resident Evil and Shifu. By the way, I just completed Shifu on Twitch. Make sure to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Streamcast TV, to watch me play hard games where I get tortured and banged up like Shifu. But I'm very excited for people who just have a Switch maybe, or have been waiting for that game to be on other consoles. Hey, you can suffer now too. And Shifu is a game with a visual presentation that won't suffer, I don't believe, from being ported over to the Switch. So I think that's a perfect kind of game to make that crossover. I would overall agree with your sentiments because trying to catch up with the Nintendo Direct has been an absolute slog. And it shouldn't be. I should be able to go bang, bang, bang. What were the big ones? All right, there we go. Let's check that out. I will say they started off hot for some people with the Fire Emblem Engage. That was really cool. And I think when it comes to these showcases, there are three types of games for me. You have the games that I just don't care for. You have the games that look nice, but I'm not going to get if we're being serious. And then we have the games that I'm likely going to get. And for me, I couldn't say that the Nintendo Direct was a perfect or an A plus or an S tier showcase because there was just so much that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But obviously, there were a couple of announcements that got me excited, but that was a whole 40-minute thing. And that doesn't make up for the amount of games that I was looking elsewhere. I was looking at spreadsheets to, do something else. So I think it's very cool when people get, hype and excited for that Breath of the Wild 2 announcement, which has now been aptly named Tears of the Kingdom. that got a lot of people talking and excited, and that was it. And sometimes it's how you leave them, and sometimes it's how you start them. And Nintendo Direct tried to start hot and finish hot, and I think that's just presenting 101. First impression, last impressions is the thing that people are going to remember the most.
Yeah.
And I think they did the best they could with that kind of arrangement.
I agree. I think they did that well. The middling well with Golden White to pick you back up and stuff, but it was still too much. It was too far for me of a low dip in the middle. Yes, GoldenEye was a spike, but it was like you're dragging me from the depths of hell here because really, like there's always a lull, right? There's always that period where they know these games aren't. It's not even as hot. It's as well known as others.
Yeah.
So we'll put this kind of package in, but like I said, some I feel like they spent too much time on. So it was just there was lots of peaks, lots of good things for people. It was just too much. Like I know we want a lot, but it was too much. Way too much. But they started really well. I know a lot of people. I mean, I'm not a Fire Emblem player, but I'm aware of how big it is and I guess how widespread the audience is. So it makes sense. And I mean, they could have started with Zelda, ended with Zelda. I think everyone would have been happy. If you're being real, put Zelda in the middle too. We've got some more for you.
Here's a screenshot.
Yeah, I mean, people would have just been delighted. To be fair, so yeah, and I don't think people expect they have these games, Zelda, maybe Metroid, and a few others where people really want it, but they don't know when it's coming. And I think when they can pull on that, it's amazing. They should do that with Mario. You see too much of him throughout the years. I'm sorry, he needs a break. Manual time, let him come back fresh with something.
I think that Nintendo know what their heavy hitters are.
Yeah.
And while Fire Emblem isn't going to be a favorite in this household, it's got massive worldwide appeal. So it makes all the sense in the world to start off with that. And you'd be foolish to end on anything other than Tears of the Kingdom, which has been announced to come out the 12th of May, 2023. So you only have 6, 7, 8 months to finish Breath of the Wild if you haven't already before the new game comes out.
Someone said Breath of the Wild is still 50 quid. So if you have completed it and you know your friend hasn't played it, start learning it. We're not giving Nintendo more than they need because I'm sorry, the cost of living is crazy, but we should all enjoy good games. Now, if you want to own it, fine. But if you just want to play it, talk to your friends. Because how that hasn't dropped in price, especially after the announcement, not even a tenner.
Nintendo tax. Price is about to go up.
Talk to your friends, see if you can learn it. With all the farming stuff, cozy gamers must be just grinning from ear to ear, like so much. I mean, do you know what it reminds? Farming games, farming simulators, and these kind of collectible cozy games is weird because I look at it and think, aren't they all the same? But I'm sure there's games where people look at probably fighting and stuff. It's just all the same, just punching and kicking, where there's different elements in that mix. So as much as I cuss it or cuss the direction for having too much of it, I'm sure to everyone's like, oh, this can do this. Oh, this one can do that one. For me, it's just like, oh my God, clear out my eyes. I've seen way too many today. But I'm sure people have fun with it. But they've been, and I know the amount released as well, which is why it just feels like an overwhelming. Like I know it's a market, clearly, it just feels very overwhelming. The amount of kind of cozy simulators that are out there. How cozy can you be? Like,
there is going to be something for everyone, and that's the perfect thing. That's the thing I love the most about gaming. Not every announcement is going to be for me, not every announcement is going to be for you, but it will be for someone who likes whatever it is that the game is. I will say, I think 40 minutes was too long for the amount of, just in general, 40 minutes was too long, and I think they could have cut maybe 10 minutes off of that. I think 30 minutes would have been nice. I honestly believe less is more with that kind of thing. You want to get more time with the top games and then less time with the games that are going to be just repeats or not as surprising, because that is another USP to these showcases as well. Games that you haven't heard of, games that you weren't expecting. What games announced are you most likely to buy for yourself, Troy?
Games I'm most likely to buy myself are probably because of costs. The indie one, so Tunic. I had heard of before by mistake. I'd come across it, and basically, it is supposed to be, which is ironic that we got a Zelda announcement. Very Zelda-like. Very everything is Dark Souls-like. So I'm going to take that with a pinch of salt. Basically, it's an adventure game that might be difficult in some spots because it's indie. That's how I describe these games, especially indie games. I feel like the difficulty spikes they still seem to struggle with. So it becomes a Dark Souls like game where Dark Souls seems to be more refined in their difficulty spikes. Like it's just not randomly hard for no reason. Whereas like as we've experienced some of these games, Kino Bridge Spirits are just randomly hard sometimes for absolutely no reason. But it doesn't take away from the game, it's still a good game, but this has got really good ratings across the board. So I was looking forward to that, and Switch is for me will be a better platform to play it on. Was not looking forward to SpongeBob, so we can ask that.
Like you specifically brought up SpongeBob, just a dunk on it.
Yep. There's a Disney Kart Racer, which is an interesting one because obviously I played Crash and I haven't played much Mario Kart because I suck at it. But Disney, I don't know if I play it on the Switch or not, but it's an interesting one if they make it different, and that is definitely something I might buy. So if you have watched a podcast that we had joined, you would know that the easiest and only Zelda question I had got wrong because I ever played a Zelda game. Would this be the first? No, because I have to play Breath of the Wild, which I think I played EGX when they had that big kind of play all these games.
Oh,
It was the Sword and Shield year as well for Pokemon and stuff. For me, it's just the cost of these games. And obviously, Nintendo do not have a PlayStation or Xbox model at the moment where all their games might be for a subscription. So, but how far it is and how good it is, it's on my games to play, I would have to say. So it's on my games to play with. Obviously, we speak about another game of incredible importance that I haven't played I played once and I just couldn't, I didn't have the time, to be honest, to do it, but I will make time. We'll get into that later. But but yeah, so Zelda's on that list of a game, particularly Breath of the Wild, because I keep hearing about it. Like people swear by it over all of the games in their past and present, which is weird because nostalgia kills people, right? They just go crazy for it. Oh my god, this game back in the day, and you play it like, bro, it didn't really bang. I don't know. This is a nostalgia tax. Yeah, but this one seems to just everybody like. And when I was on, like, if you go on YouTube, people who play very different games, like cozy gamers. Oh, Zelda's coming out. I was like, this ain't your will. Like, is it really that? Like, we have people who don't even interact with the channel, who put on stories. Oh my gosh, I waited so long for this. So clearly, Zelda is a game that I need to play in my life. Otherwise, who am I? I'm still a gamer, by the way, whether I play this or not. You can't define that. But aside from that, who am I if I haven't played this game? Notice I haven't mentioned GoldenEye, and I'm a little bit concerned. We played GoldenEye, and obviously the co-op aspect is great. But when I was looking into it, people started to memorize stages and stuff. So it'll be interesting. And there's other things people are doing. So it'll be interesting to see how they make it accessible online, like how they make it fun and bring it into the modern day, because they're competing with very, very, very good shooting games, first-person shooters. As again, don't let nostalgia kill you. Like, I just want to, like, that's my concern. Whenever they start bringing games from the past, that's my concern. How does it fit now in this new landscape? Aside from that, it should be fun. We had fun on it, but it was the first time we actually played it in 2019.
Yes,
2018.
I'm not sure if, for me. I'm not gonna lie to you and say it's a 10 out of 10, but it was ridiculously fun, and that was why I loved it so much. It was like Here Comes the Pain, which is almost arcade-like in the ridiculous way that it executes moves, but it's still very fun, and it just feels like an old school game. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they bring GoldenEye into the modern age. I'm not sure if they're gonna do anything new to the game, or if they're just gonna give it a fresh coat of paint and then go, here you go. Because as you said, there are going to be people who have played GoldenEye since release and they know every level. You know, it might not be as fun to newcomers, and I'm sure there are going to be newcomers who have seen other people hype around GoldenEye and be like, oh, what's that? I want to give that a go. So I hope that it's a game that becomes welcoming to new players, easy to play, difficult to master, that kind of thing. But GoldenEye was one of the highlights for me, just because it was just so cool, and it was the game that actually got me around on the N64 controller, because I hate that controller. I think it's the worst controller of all time. It's terrible. I don't know why your controller has a penis, but I don't know who at Nintendo approved that one. But
isn't that some people's favorite controller ever?
Yeah. Questions need to be asked.
You're just trying to say they're not playing with the peen.
I mean, they're holding on one of the handles, and it's not the left or the right one. But I can't remember who it was, but when someone said you actually need to hold it middle and then one of the side ones, it kind of made sense playing GoldenEye.
Was it D? I think it
might have been D. Yeah, shout out D. But GoldenEye, very fun. I'm looking forward to playing that. But I would definitely say the one I'm most looking forward to is Tears of the Kingdom, just because it is the game. And there are several games that are like that. Like you got God of War, you got Elden Ring right now. That when they're mentioned, it's like, okay, you're in deep territory right now. These guys have banged up this game 100, 200 hours. This is serious business. And I don't know, I just want to be involved in that. I've played Breath of the Wild and I got about 25 hours in. And life kind of turned left. So I have not played for about 2-3 years. So this date serves as a deadline for me. Can I complete Breath of the Wild by 12th of May? That's going to be interesting. But
great content. Good luck. Have you seen how many games are coming out?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Bro. There were some dark horses, unexpected bangers from me. And let me get the name of it. It was Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. That one was one that I wasn't expecting to like, but I really like the minigame aspect. There's Kirby Samurai. You can all be Kirby in online co-op mode. You make a very good point when you talk about the cost of Nintendo games, because I feel like they believe all of their Nintendo games are worth the same, but they're not. And I don't feel like a Legend of Zelda should be going for the same price as a Kirby.
Be careful, because they will make Legend of Zelda £70. They won't reduce Kirby.
All right, Legend of Zelda, £100. Let's go. £100 for a cartridge.
How badly do you want it, then?
Fuck.
I think it's a weird market, Nintendo, actually, because I feel like that's where how do I explain this? That's where you get your cozy gamers and your indie gamers, because I'm certain it's also people who have the console, obviously like these games, but these games are more affordable as opposed to your big blockbusters, and they might buy 1 or 2 blockbusters a year. You might have your Mario Kart, and then you'll have your Zelda, it seems like, or your Smash Bros and your Mario, if you're in that kind of wheelhouse of indie games, as almost like an add-on to your library of, I guess, fun indie games that you like to play in your spare time. So it's an interesting. I don't like the model as a consumer, because I just want to buy more. But then how many games do I complete? So maybe it is a good model for me as a consumer. But I don't like it, because I would just like to wait for it to be accessible. Obviously, just paying for like stuff and whatever, but I don't care for that at this present moment, because I just want the game. We just want the game. We just want to have fun and enjoy. It's depressing out here. So please, Nintendo, just a liquid sale. Like winter sale. Like, just they don't even do the 10% off that nobody likes.
To be fair, they do sales. So this year they've done New Year sales, and I think they've done the summer
Yeah.
sale. I'm not sure if they've done the autumn sale.
On what games?
Well, it's not a sale if it's games that you want, Troy. Come on. This is business 101.
Does FIFA not go on sale on December 26th?
Yeah, but that's because most people realize it's the same game as last year.
Whatever, fine. Do what you want.
Of course, there were other things announced for games that are already out. So Nintendo Switch Sports announced a golf game, which was very popular on the Wii generation, if my memory serves correctly. And that's going to come out in winter. There's also, I think, Wave 3 of the Mario Kart 8 DLC pack, which is coming out in the winter. So their announcements varied from games to add-ons. And then Super Nintendo World got announced to be coming to Hollywood, which I don't know how many people are excited about that, but I am. Because this could be not going to rival, but this could be something comparative to a Disney-like experience where you have your Disneyland Paris, I think it's Disneyland, and you have your Disney World in Orlando, and I think there's one in Japan. Maybe. So if this goes well, we could maybe see one in Europe at some point, and Nintendo has the money and the worldwide brand appeal. I don't see why it wouldn't work. So ultimately, for a selfish reason, I want to see a Super Nintendo World in Europe, but it's good to see Japanese game companies think outside of the box and not keep all the good stuff to themselves.
That probably leads on to the next direct, the next state of play, which we'll talk about later in terms of the culture shift, I guess, particularly in games that allowing us to play games that aren't typically for this region. But yeah, no, you know what? How can I forget about Nintendo World? Because I was excited. I think America is just a smart place. A lot of people travel there for obviously Disneyland and stuff. You have the people traveling from South America as well coming up, and obviously all over the States. I was going to say it's accessible depending on the color of your skin, but it's accessible to a degree.
You're not wrong.
There's also it always seems to have the worst health. Like whenever the world is going into shutdown with their global health pandemic stuff, it's always there too.
Oh
and it's very strong there. Like it's terrible. Anyway, but it's a good it's another location in another continent. Continent that allows people to go there from that region. Again, if it comes to Europe, would be great too. But I think it's a good strategy. It's nice to have because I think separately, I think like you said, because of the family appeal of Nintendo, every gamer could go, even if you almost like their console. Yes, you like Xbox, you may like PlayStation, but we all love Nintendo or some form or someone from there. They have such great history. So when are we going? It's the true question. And this goes to people watching this too. When, as a community, are we going, please? Which one are we going to? Because we have options now. I personally would like to go to Japan because we should experience the culture. However, I know cost of living might make it difficult to go to either regions, but we should find a way. And pray that we're safe in America, but we should find a way.
Let's. Maybe next year. What about summer?
That high pitch says 3 years, but we've got it in the diary, so we'll see. But no, it's good. It's good. It's actually good for a lot of us. And there was a wide range. I know you didn't mention the Strikers edition because I don't know what happens to that game after release, but we'll keep that moving.
What I will say about that game is thank you very much, Nintendo UK, for our copy of the game. Now, let's talk about... All right, before we move on, I wanted to ask you this one question.
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct. I want you to rate it out of 10. Your personal opinion. Don't care about what the comments or Nintendo... I was going to say a bad word there. Nintendons are going to say. Give me a rating out of 10. What would you rank the Nintendo Direct?
I'm in between 6 and 7. I'm leaning towards 7 because all they had to do was cut it down, and it makes it a lot better and use their channels properly. They have the people, like I said, they have the people for it. But the announcements were good, which is why I'm trying to lean away from 6 because the announcements were good. It's just too much stuff for me anyway. So I'm going to give them a very high 6.8 because I'm going to be difficult, but it's close to 7 if you want to round up.
That is some IGN energy.
I don't think it deserves a 6. It's just because the announcements were good. It was just too many things. That's all.
I'm proudly going to give him a 6,
Okay.
and I think it's because a lot of the games weren't for me, and that's not to say the showcase was bad. It just wasn't for me. I do agree that the length for the quality of games that we got wasn't the greatest, and yes, we got Breath of the Wild too, but what else did we get that was really worth, not working, focusing straight up on that direct live?
Yeah.
What was worth it for Nintendo UK to not live stream that direct? I don't think it was that good. So I'll give it a 6. It was still good. It wasn't terrible. I think 5 is a bad score. But
no, if they didn't have Zelda and GoldenEye, I think I would have given it a 5.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Let us know in the comments what you would give Nintendo Direct's showcase out of 10. Do you think it was a perfect showcase? Let us know.
You're a liar.
Why?
You're a liar. I don't care how much you like it. You can't be a 10. I'm sorry.
And let us know what your favorite announcement was. Now, before we move on to the state of play, I would like to let you know that Streamcast has a Patreon. And this is one of the ways that you can support us financially and help us take this part-time hobby into a full-time business where we can pay ourselves a good wage in this London and also provide opportunities for our community.
Yes.
So we have 3 tiers. We've got the official tier, which will get you a shout out on our pods. So shout out Spilt Milk Studios. They're great people. Make sure you check out their games. Then you have the indie tier, which is going to get you exclusive podcasts of a debate-like format. So sometimes we'll debate DC and Marvel, Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. If you have any topics for discussion, for debate, let us know in the comments. Good ones might be taken and used. And then you have the top tier where you get exclusive videos. They could be exclusive FIFA videos. They could be Sekiro videos, boss battles. They could be anything. You get extra videos for your buck. So check the link in the description or go to patreon.com/streamcast to find out how you could support the Streamcast and be part of the greatest community on Earth.
And we can have sick pay.
You think I'm letting you unionize? Let's move on to the state of play. Now, I said how the Nintendo Direct started off hot, but oh my goodness, did this state of play start off with some fire? I don't know how long it took me to realize it was a Tekken thing, but as soon as I realized it was Tekken, boy, I was shouting like it was a football match and someone scored a goal. It was so hype. The graphics looked so sick. Did you catch the Tekken announcement, Troy?
Yeah, I did. I was knackered. If I wasn't, I probably would have fallen to my knees and hands to the sky, sort of, praising Jesus, because it's been a long time. And I don't know. It was good because I watched it, and then obviously I watched King Jay's summary and a few others because I played Tekken, but I'm not a competitive player, so there's things obviously I would miss. So it was interesting to see the breakdown. Interesting to see that it's PlayStation 5 exclusive, I believe. That's what it was said. Someone said that.
I don't think it's PS5 exclusive. Okay. What I think is it's going to be on that generation, though. So I don't think it'll be on PS4 or Xbox One.
Okay. So it's generation exclusive, which is interesting because I don't know when these consoles are coming. But I hope they come soon for everyone to enjoy. I mean, it would be a shame to miss out very early on a game like that.
Yeah.
the graphics were good, but I expected that. And I think it's become an expectation now. I think such is the standard set by both PlayStation and Xbox. It'll be interesting to see how the characters move in this kind of new gen console kind of world. Interesting to start with Jin and Kazama, I thought, because it's a bit cheeky as well, because maybe there's an expectation they're going to be in it by now. Maybe not because of you as much, because more or less the mainstay. But Jin, yeah, we've been very interested. It went with two completely different characters, but I guess it's too early for that. But I guess it builds the hype because everyone knows the history. Everyone who plays knows the history, knows the I guess abandoned. I mean, he got thrown off a cliff, but he's in the band. He abandoned his child, I guess, because he went to go and fight his grandfather and lost. Should have won if he wanted to save his child. Really, didn't fight for his wife. Didn't fight for his child.
Nope.
I'm excited for it, but Tekken is so long in the series. What will change and how will they improve? And I think you've done a poll recently on Tekken v Street Fighter, and the rollout of Street Fighter is really good. And one of the big things, I'm not trying to compare the two, by the way, I know very different games, we can all enjoy things. But one of the big things with Street Fighter is what they're bridging is the barrier to entry. A lot of people are saying that now. So it'd be interesting to see what Tekken does to elevate the game in some sort of way, not just barrier to entry, make it maybe more difficult, some sort of different mechanics. It'd be very interesting on how they use this next gen. But I think they've shown graphically what they can do, and it looks good. Hopefully, it is involved in the gameplay, not just visually. Visually, what we can just see as a promo sort of thing. So I was excited. It's long time Tekken fan, and I mean the story is so thin. Bless him.
Yeah,
but it keeps you in. I think the family itself keeps you in more than anything. Because you can just ban them, really. I mean, not real. If they were real, no, because you probably did. But you can ban them, no. So, but I think overall the game is really good. It looks good, and it was a taster. I think that's what was good. Like it's planting the seeds, and PlayStation has become really good at just planting seeds, and people get restless. Like, when are we going to get more? But it's a journey.
Yeah,
we can show you. Yeah, we can show you this now. We'll show you a little bit more. You're going to get the gameplay stuff. Then you get some more character reveals, build hype. Then you get the massive trailer or whatever towards the end of it. So we're all hype and happy when the game's released. It works. Yeah. But they did really well with that one.
Yes, I kind of figured we'd get a Tekken 8 announcement soon because we got Street Fighter 6 earlier in the year. And it just makes sense. It's been out for a long time, Tekken 7. It's been enough years. So it's about time to get the next generation going. And I think you do want to start the presentation with Jin and Kazuya because they're the two most recognizable characters. Even people who don't play Tekken, even people who aren't gamers will somewhat recognize those characters. They'll know, oh yeah, that fighting game, innit? Yeah. They will recognize those two characters. So it makes sense to go with two characters that are mainstays. And I do love that the Mishima bloodline is just, we're going to fight forever. That's it. We're going to live forever. We're going to fight forever. We're going to eat forever. Let's go. It's just Peter Griffin and the chicken. You know, it's on site whenever they see each other. And you know what? Long may it continue. I've been a long time fan of Jin and Kazuya's look. I just think they look so cool. I cannot wait to see if they've got new abilities or looks. King J, shout out King. He mentioned that there was a one-winged devil on one wing on Jin, so one-winged devil Jin, I guess. And immediately that got me thinking, could we possibly get a Sephiroth character in DLC? I don't know how they run it. I don't know how they run it, but I would like to see it.
I'm sure many people would.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I don't. But
I get what you mean, though. Yeah.
Yeah. But if we take it back to Tekken and not so much DLC already, does that mean Jin has more control over the Devil Gene? Does that mean new attacks, new abilities? This leaves me with more questions than answers. And as you said, I think it is good. Yeah. I think this is the perfect type of trailer. It's a teaser. It's exactly what it should be. It's giving you enough to know what you are seeing. You know what you're looking at. You know what to expect. but they haven't given you everything, because when 6 months pass and then you get no new trailer, then it's like, where's Tekken? Where's Tekken? So I like this new method of giving a certain amount of gameplay or a certain presentation now, and then hopefully we get more in a few months' time. This is what we've seen with another game that we're going to talk about later on in the presentation. There should be some sort of progression communicated between the team making the game and the people who are going to enjoy the game.
Actually, and the Jin thing works, just to interject. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling anything. Really, I shouldn't. Everyone should know, because even I guessed it before it came out. But in Bloodline, obviously, there's big scenes with Jin as Devil Jin. So it is that link to the show as well, to have him specifically do the one wing. You bring in a lot of audiences just doing that. So if your first time you introduce to Tekken through the show, Jin and Devil Jin is very recognizable if you watch the show, because it comes out of nowhere. If I can even tell you now, and you still won't see when it comes technically. So then to see now a one winged one, you are probably going through these same questions as well. Like, well, how does that transition happen? Why is it happening? Then does he have control? Is Kazuya to do with that? Is what's going on, because he's fighting Kazuya, his dad. Obviously, this is where he gets it from. So what's going on? So yeah, I agree. It's very interesting. Yeah, it was a good trailer. I give it to them. It was
so cool. And when you're watching the showcase with people, or like you're going through the timeline, or you're watching someone live react to it, and then you realize something at the same time, and you're like, "This is Tekken," and you're both hyped. You're hyped. They're hyped. It's just really cool. That's what I miss about these announcement type of showcases. And I'll say this now in case I forget later. I think this is what the E3 model should be more like.
Okay.
Maybe you have your days, maybe it's a week, but you have your days, but the showcases aren't longer than maybe 20, 30 minutes. And then you just get banger after banger. You can do one with PlayStation, you could do one with Nintendo. And I think that would be a good way to correct a lot of the fatigue that we're feeling now with these hour-long showcases. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that with all the different showcases, but I think there might be a way to just make it work. And if you want to do Summer Games Fest that way, cool, because I think that would actually make more sense if you do, okay, it's a whole month of presentations and they're 30 minutes per day. That's not too long to catch up on if you miss it, because life gets in the way. And B, you're not fatigued after watching the presentation. You don't have to go and cringe at a presenter on stage. You don't have to look at all this awkward interactions. It's just game, release date. I think that might be a long-term solution, because it's very clear E3 doesn't want to die. So I think they need to understand that the method that worked in the noughties isn't going to work now, because TikTok is the fastest growing social media platform today. It's very short form. So E3 needs to take notes from that and adjust their presentation accordingly.
Yeah.
So other than Tekken, what announcements were your favorite, Troy?
No, we're not going to do that because it came at the end. So
okay. All right. So you didn't like anything else?
I did, but I was ready to jump. Okay. And if you were to ask me again, I'll still be ready to jump, because it was such a big announcement. Because it was there's a lot of reasons for you haters out there that said it was just DLC painted as number 2. I hope you in your words. There was a few. It's the names. So it's not Yakuza, is it?
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Like a Dragon Ishin.
Yes. So when we were speaking earlier about the transition of Japan coming out to the world, and with the games we've had like Ghost, and I mean Yakuza in itself is an amazing
Yakuza, Sekiro, tons.
Sekiro, I think it's opened up this world, but it's nice now that the games that are just primarily released in Japan are being able to be released in the West, because clearly they can see it's being appreciated. I think that's the important thing as well, that these games, this culture is also being appreciated and treated really, really well. Everyone's excited. I'm excited. The thing is, I look at these games from a distance. I've got it, I will play it, but I look at it from a distance. Like, this looks really, really good. I can see why you have lots of fun with it. So I'm actually excited. It's the thing. It's a game where I'm excited for people to play it. I think they'll really enjoy it.
Yes. Well, I can speak for me and say I was very gassed when I saw that. I have no connection to those kind of games really, but
Yeah,
I heard Sega. This is a game that's coming. It's being built up it's being rebuilt. Obviously, this is a game exclusive to Japan, and I didn't know that growing up that games were locked off to certain regions. I just thought games were worldwide. They were just shared, and I didn't even realize games had different covers depending on which region you lived in. So in the noughties, when I discovered, oh crap, there are games, they haven't even been translated because they don't ship outside of Japan. That has made me so excited for this game. And of course, it's a visual beauty. And I think beat 'em ups are now my favorite genre of game, either that or action adventures. So I'm very excited to play Like a Dragon Ishin. I think there was gun gameplay. There was a moment where I think you deflect or you cut a bullet in half.
Yeah, you cut a bullet in half.
I'll give you £50 right now. Give me that game. Let's go.
You're giving a lot of £50, in this one pod. This is why people say you're a Tory, because there's a lot of money to be given away.
I'm not rich. I'm just bad at managing money. Don't worry about it. A lot comes in, a lot goes out. That's a game I'm excited about, and they gave us a release date. I'm pretty sure it's coming out in February next year, so we don't have too long to wait. And if February this year is any indication, it might be a bang out month for games.
There was another one. It was a Ronin type game.
Yes, it was Rise of the Ronin. Yes, I did. So this state of play, they did clarify. They did say this is going to be 20 minutes and it's going to be full of Japanese games.
Yeah, they did say that. Yeah.
So anyone who's disappointed, that's on you. But I was so impressed because maybe it's the movies I watched growing up, maybe it's the anime, maybe it's being friends with Japanese people, but I just want to play Japanese game after Japanese game. I think they are such great people and they put everything into what they make. So when it comes to their games, they don't half-ass it. Yeah. And Rise of the Ronin looks like another banger waiting to happen. It's made by Team Ninja. I thought this was going to be Neo 3. Thank God it's not. But I still need to play 1 and 2. But Rise of the Ronin is definitely one that I'm looking forward to. I'm very happy it's not yet Ghost of Tsushima 2 because I think I want a few more years before I play the sequel to that. But I can't wait to play Rise of the Ronin.
Correct me if I'm wrong, is Ronin separate the next stage of kind of the samurai era? I'm just asking.
I am not going to chat shit. I am going to be honest and say I don't know the answer to that.
I'm going to check that because if it is kind of like the evolvement into, a ninja, a Ronin might be the in-between stage. Just a guess. Please correct me in the chat, in the comment section if I'm wrong, or you can at us. But if it is the case, and it's a nice way of shifting from, we've had a long period of very good, don't get me wrong, samurai games, but into another era, which would be quite interesting to see how it works, and the dynamics of that as well. And especially, I know it's definitely a different era in Japan, so that's good as well. We get to see that, and it's interesting how they're weaving kind of like their kind of story, their world story, their country story into these games to a degree. So it'd be quite interesting to see where they go from here as well. But it looks good. I just need to say that about all the games, really, can't I?
Yeah.
It looks good. Yeah, it looks great. It looks amazing. Again, with these games, I think for a lot of people now, the big thing is people getting their hands on it, or at least seeing someone else get their hands on it. And that's when now we seem to be able to tell, because generally the presentations are so good. They just want everything. And then someone gets a hand on it, and then mechanically it's not good, or the gameplay is not quite hitting, or the character interactions aren't up to, the new standards that it should be. But from what they're showing us, it's enough to make us want it.
Absolutely. And I think that is definitely what these companies are going to try and aim for over the next year or two. Get the game to a playable demo point, or at least what they did with Cyberpunk that 1 year, where they get someone playing it and showing you how the game's going to work. Hopefully, those games have a better launch.
Yes. That was we don't even know who's to blame. Everyone did their job, but someone was supposed to be there to say, nope, we gotta wait, people.
Push this one back. Were there any other games that got you excited, or shall we get into the main event?
There were. I think the showcase was good, but I think those are the main ones. I think it's worth just sticking to the main ones. There was another one. I think was there one with a female protagonist. Is that the Korean one? Because we had a Korean game announced before, and it went quiet. Was it this one?
I think so. I think it's the same game.
Okay.
It was Project Eve.
That's
and
what I don't remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it is a Korean game. That's the one. It's now called Stellar Blade. There we go. So it is the same game. They've just renamed it. The same thing happened with Project Afia, which is now Forspoken.
Yes. I think with that game, obviously we're having more and more female protagonists and whatnot. Great. It's a good thing. It'd be interesting to see a game coming out of Korea. That's what I want to say about that. I was interested. I won't say I was excited. I was interested and intrigued. I still want to see a bit more development wise from it for me, and I think I'll need to, a bit like Forspoken, proper dive into it and see people analyze it for me to get into that kind of game. That's a lie. I liked Forspoken. I did that on my own back. I was already sold, and I just saw one clip. I was like, I need to know more. This one, I just want to learn more culturally as well, because it's a different culture. It's coming out of somewhere different that we're not been that exposed to in the West, if we're being honest. My only exposure to Korea is probably Haran in Tekken, in game form.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, we can now move on to the tomahawk steak, if you will, the big one.
Whoa. I will say, just on your point, while I personally am not excited about Project Eve at this point, I should call it by its proper name now, Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
I do think there is the potential for me to be one around. I've got my eye on it. You know, them ones where you're like, I'm not actively when you're coming out, but I'm like, you got something new there. All right, cool. I'm wanting to see, as you said, how it adapts Korean culture.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know about that. I want to know about what the game is going to be about, how the game's going to play, and not just the flashy bits they're going to show us in the trailer, but the bits in between. You know, I want to know whether that game is going to be really fun or a bunch of filler. So I'm still on the edge. I'm on the fence, I should say. But I am excited for people who are going to be excited about it. I know there's going to be a ton of people who are just want it. Yeah. And as you said, I am loving games with female protagonists. More of that, please.
I think that's why I have a keen interest, because so far so good for PlayStation in that regards. Especially when they've had to, and I mean, we've cast some in the past in their first installment for running like an old lady, but they blew up. Caused controversy, but it was a damn good game, Last of Us 2. So, and Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'm hoping there'll be more.
Yeah.
So yeah, they seem to not be. It's not a tick box. It seems to be well cultivated. From these are the characters. This is what they stand for. This is what they look like. This is why they look like that. This is why they interact with the world the way they do. This is their story, and I think that's really important. So that's why I've got an interest in it, because when it comes to the female protagonist, it's not, here, have that. Just take that. You got what you wanted. Leave us alone. It's more, okay, if we're gonna do this, let's do this right. Who is she? What does she stand for? What is the story she's telling? And in some cases, how do we make her look as normal as possible as well? How do we reflect our audiences that might play it and get them involved and get them in those fields? So yeah, I'm hopeful more than excited. I am hopeful.
Yeah. Yes, I think that's the right word to use. And hopefully, Stellar Blade is successful so they can make
Yeah.
more games with female protagonists. And I think we will look back on Aloy as a very important
Hmm.
protagonist, a very important female gaming character, because Lara Croft is amazing. But unlike Lara Croft, this wasn't a sexual being. This wasn't someone who was, you know, paraded around just because of her looks. This was someone who had morals, who stood for something, who
Or
had a
triangle
story.
boobs. You can't forget the
Yeah.
triangle boobs. Them developers were horny,
I
man.
mean,
What is that? We know what time it is. It's that time.
it's time to look at God of War Ragnarok, sequel to 2018 Game of the Year.
Hmm.
They now have a signature sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I hear that sound, I drop whatever I've got. I'm like, all right, who we killing? Let's go. It's a call to action. It's a call to arms. And my goodness, I'm so gassed. Troy, you're gonna have to talk because I'm just gonna talk about Kratos, and there'll be time for me to talk afterwards. But I want to know what you thought about this trailer.
So this is surprising because, like I said, I haven't actually played the game. The first one I have, I just like I haven't played it through. But this game wanted me to play. Like it's not forcing me, but it's encouraging me to play the first one through. It's not that the first one was bad.
Mm.
It's just the timing and making time for it's going to be hard, but I'll try. And I think what interests me the most. So what interests me the most is I'm big on storytelling and being a parent. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Kratos is actually a modern day father, and it's so weird. So so
Welcome
a
to the
lot of
light,
people.
Trey.
Okay, no. In TV, so any parents who are ever watching this or the siblings will know. So there's a cartoon called Bluey, and the dad is almost like a father figure of the modern day dad in that show. He did not shout; he always present and following the lead. And I feel like there's such an interwoven character because what Kratos was to what he is such a massive development, and seeing that relationship between the two made me interested because it's almost like I can't believe I'm saying this. It's basically a Greek god killer. I feel represented in a Greek god killer as a parent. It doesn't make sense, but it's kind of how do you support your child? What does your child need? And your child's telling you, but that's not what I need. You didn't even basically you didn't ask me what I needed. You just followed me blindly. I needed your trust. Where's that? And it's an interesting interwoven story that I'm really interested to see in that dynamic. I can't believe I'm interested in a father-son story in a bloody game. I don't know if that could have a daughter or what, but I'm very interested in that kind of that element. I think more so because that's pretty much what the probably next stage is going to be like.
Yeah.
That they're trying to fight for their independence, but you have to support them. And at what? I mean, obviously, hopefully, we're not going into war, and I'm not having to kill things. I mean, the world is still young, so you never know. But hopefully, that's not going to happen. However, there's strong elements in that game of really good storytelling and really good character development that even within that kind of setting, it's so out of this world, it still feels real. And I think that's a really hard thing to do. I mean, some of the games we've mentioned earlier have done that. And I think this game does that very, very well. And that's why people keep coming back. And from what I saw from the trailer, people should be happy because I was reading and people were like, "Oh, it's going to be the same weapons. It's just DLC that they're going to sell for more price, and oh, it's not really going to change in the story." I've watched. I can only go on trailers and things I've watched. It looks very different. The weapons look different. The mechanics look slightly different. So I hope you're happy, Mr. and Mrs. DLC and non-binary. It's just DLC people. I really hope you're happy. I really do because it's not. So you too can spend your coin and be happy. Look at us. They're complaining all the time. Like I think we have to get used to games taking this long as well.
Yes, I think
Like
that's modern. Yeah.
yeah, I think we do, and I think they both all studios from Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox have enough time now to fill the gap with other great games, even through the pandemic or after the pandemic, they've really bombarded us with probably too many good games, and hopefully over the years it'll start to like fill out a bit. So because I don't feel like people have missed God, they've missed it, but you've had enough. Sorry, you've had enough good games to fill that gap, but you still know for what people is the greatest game is still yet to come. And I think they've done that really well, and I can see that happening for. But and on Xbox, I can see that happening on their stuff too in the coming years. But I was, it's so weird how much I was into this trailer. I watched the first one, like, oh, yeah, it's all right, cool. Then I got caught with an ad. Me, who works in media, got caught with an ad and was sold to. Okay, maybe. Then I watched this one. So we were speaking earlier how I was kind of semi paying attention, and I heard music. I was like, "What is this?" And I was gassed. I was shocked that I was gassed, and I'm shocked that I can talk about this game like this over like a trailer of what Thor throwing his. I think there's a lot of interesting elements, and they had to battle a lot of things to get here. A lot of like how people see Thor against what he is in Greek mythology, how we develop Kratos after we've developed him already. Where does Atreus fit into this? Where does everyone else fit into this? And they've done a really good job. But that's what the time brings you. What is it, 4 years now?
Yeah.
That's what time brings you. It gives you the opportunity to work on those things and develop things that make people excited. I can't say all this and it's crap, because then I'm just gonna have to delete this episode. Just gonna have to of the internet, just no trace whatsoever. Well, you have a history, right? It's an interesting one because you have a history with this game so much that it's brought you friendship. To now when you're seeing it, like you've gone through all of it. Did you play the PSP one? I think.
I haven't played the PSP ones. I played them. I didn't complete them.
Okay, so you touched that every touch point you've been with this game throughout generations. Like, what is that journey been like? Because he's been reinvented essentially for the new gen, but he was still probably one of the greatest characters on the older generations too. Like, people, not many. I was gonna say mascots. I guess mascots last that long. But,
yeah, I think mascots a fair word.
Yeah.
And
last that long and transcends culture as well, because we've seen a lot of people, I guess, dress up, not just in cosplay, wrestling, other things. Kratos is just the guy. Like, how is that for you?
This might sound weird, but it actually feels like being a proud parent. That's a great question, by the way. I often don't even think about it. I've just been going along with it.
Yeah.
So now that you said that, I am going back to maybe 2010, where God of War 3 was my first game of that franchise. Played it, loved it. I was 16, 17 at the time, so I'm loving all the violence. I'm loving all the horny stuff. That's great. Isaac and I bond over that game. We become very good friends because of that game. And then I go back and play God of War 1 and 2. And God of War 3 was a great game, but God of War 1 and 2 were part of a great story. And I think that's what was the difference from me playing God of War 3, dropping it, and then going back to Tekken or FIFA or whatever, and being a long-time Kratos fan. Now, it is a fact that 2005 Kratos would not thrive in today's society just because of what he was, what he stood for, the upbringing he had. He is toxic masculinity personified.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's the fact that he has a son now.
Mm-hmm.
He has a second chance at bringing up a child because famously he murdered his own daughter. But people make mistakes, and now
that's a wild mistake. Why would so what?
Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. And now he has an opportunity to not maybe put that right, because Calliope is something he's gonna live with and feel guilty about forever. but he has a chance to correct. He has a chance to course correct his relationship with his child, with children in general. And I think that has shown that the studio has grown almost alongside me. We have grown, we've changed, we've become different people, and they have understood that. And it's not often that a studio has basically the bravery to completely change what their character is. He looks the same, but that couldn't be any further from who he's trying to
Yeah.
be. And a lot of that in the 2018 title is masquerading. It's him trying to be a positive role model to his son, but he doesn't want to change. He knows who he is. He's not a good person, but he can't be himself around his son. And I think that has shown itself out in resentment and in him barking at his son. And I love the fact that many more people agree with me that Kratos, that God of War is a great game. And the fact that he is now seeped into other parts of culture, like you said, wrestling. There are so many wrestlers who have designed themselves over Kratos, dressed up as him for Halloween, called themselves Kratos. He seeped into other parts of the mainstream media, and I think it's about time. I think he hasn't had to change the volume of violence to say, like, the games are still 18 rated.
Yeah.
But he's still as impactful as he was back in 2005, back in 2010.
What is your favorite part?
What's my favorite part of the trailer? Or
The trailer, and kind of what you're looking forward to, and what parts are you worried about?
so parts I'm excited about. There was a scene where Kratos and Atreus are thrown on like an asteroid or a planet, and there's stars in the background, and Valkyries are on there. And that kind of stuff really appeals to me visually. It looks like we're fighting at the end of the world, or maybe we're in space fighting. I can't wait to be there. I can't wait to fight there. I can't wait to experience what that place looks like. Also, there's Kratos versus Thor,
Yes.
I mean, at some point you're just gonna have to get two heavy men just slapping each other, just slapping their chests. That's what I want to see.
It's just gonna be 5-star rated, yeah.
I mean, Dave Meltzer better get the stars out. I think it's gonna be a 10-star classic in the Tokyo Dome. I can't wait to steal Mjolnir from Thor, and I'm so happy that they didn't go for Chris Hemsworth style Thor. Chris Hemsworth is a great actor. That Thor is an amazing character in the MCU, but I'm very glad that they distinguished themselves from the recognizable Thor. I think it goes to show attention to detail, authenticity, and the fact that, hey, different body sizes can work in Hollywood. It doesn't all have to be 6-pack, massive biceps. It doesn't need to be like that. And Thor is still a threat because the stories that Mimir have been telling you in the first game, you've built up this picture of Thor. He's killed thousands of giants, even though he's half of a giant. You've built up this image of Thor. You've built up this image of Odin. And these guys are going to be front and center in the next game. I believe we've seen Odin in the trailer. Yeah. And while Thor is the physically oppressive enemy, Odin's the mentally oppressive enemy. The way he's taunting you and saying, "Have you ever been worshipped?" So I'm looking forward to see how the psychology aspect comes into this as well, because Atreus is growing. He knows who his father is. And I'm sure there's going to be more splinters between the two because he's going through puberty. His voice is broken. There's just going to be so much to like about this. If I'm worried about anything, it's maybe the game won't live up to my expectations because I'm expecting a lot.
That's right.
And I'm very wary that there's only so much that they can do, and maybe I won't get all the answers to the questions that I have. But I don't think it's going to be a bad game. I don't think it's going to be an average game. So I am excited to play this game and kill everyone.
I don't know. Corey knows what average is at this point. So.
Well, he's not directing this one because they have a different director on each game. It's a tradition. And
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think because he set such a high precedent, I think what they're gonna. People put their spin.
Yes. I'm sure he's going to be heavily involved in the game. I would like to see this director's take on God of War, and I personally feel Corey's been the best director. He also directed God of War 2, which is arguably the best one pre 2018 because of the world building that game did. So I am interested to see what changes, what influences they're going to have. I assume we're going to be able to go to Asgard. Let's see those 9 realms.
Imagine that's how they end it.
What, you go to Asgard?
Doesn't make sense. Imagine if they did.
But it's called Ragnarok.
And just a DLC coming. That's another worry that I put there.
I'll buy myself an Xbox right now. That's what I'll do. But just before that trailer was announced, they also released a limited edition DualSense controller like they did with the 2018 title. Did you catch this? Are you a fan of the design?
No. I think this is not there, but I think it's really hard to, even looking at the PS5 controller now, I think it's really hard to put a spin on it. I like the wolves. Was it wolves there?
I think it's wolves.
I like that element on that part of the controller, but the rest of it, I don't know. They love the purple though at PlayStation this year, don't they? They really do. I just thought they'd gone for red.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair, but it wasn't for me personally. But then over the PS4 era, we've had such great, even if it's custom designs. So I mean, the standards are high, and this is what it's the first one, the first gaming one.
Yes, the first game-related limited edition pad.
It's the president's set, so it's the first, hopefully, of many. But yeah, that's my opinion. It wasn't. It didn't appeal to me personally. Elements did I liked, but not the whole thing. I know you probably pre-ordered it if it's even available to be pre-ordered right now.
I don't know if it's available to pre-order, but I've got one coming. I understand where you're coming from. I don't think it's the best design. I think they could have definitely improved and made a better looking controller. Definitely. I think you said it was purple, but I thought it was more of a dark blue or a royal blue.
I'm gonna look now. Look, you can keep because I'm not sure.
But I feel that there are ways that they could have better used colors there. I think white should have been more of the primary color with blue highlights and accents around. But
yeah, you're right. I mean, lighting wise threw me off, but you're right, it is a dark blue.
Yeah.
Right, cool. I stand corrected. I apologize, people.
I can definitely see it's not. I'm not going to say it's not a good looking controller because I still think it is. I just think compared to what we've seen in previous generations, there are a lot more that they could have done. And the dual senses that they've released now, the black one, I think is the best one that they've done so far. So that is the standard I'm comparing it to. So when I see that God of War one, I'm thinking, is this better than the Midnight Black pad? No. But I'm still going to get it because it's limited edition and it's God of War, so dope. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm being honest. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 controller. I would say like a 6 or 7. What would you rate the state of play out of 10?
9. Which is very high. You know what I think this is as well? I think this is they played on I think coming out of Japan was always going to be a heavy hitter, and the games were going to be of a better quality, generally speaking. But starting off with Tekken was so unfair to everyone, anywhere, in any gaming circumstance, because it is such an announcement. It's ridiculous. And it's fun, and it's hilarious because it's going to be on multiple platforms. I mean, consoles, but it was a PlayStation state of play, and that's how you kicked it off. That is, and then to end it on God of War. I don't think people understand the timing of this one, because there was a lot of people in the last couple of weeks, especially, saying that they haven't seen enough.
Yeah.
That they're worried about the game, they're worried about the mechanics, and this trailer just seemed to dispel all of that. I have not seen a trailer do that. They made people become hypocrites in like 2 minutes. I think that is a strong way to end. It's a bit different from the Zelda one where it's like, oh yes, we have another Zelda game. It was almost like, I'm at ease now. The big game is coming. No pun, but like daddy's home. We're here now. We ain't getting no subgenre, nothing, no DLC, nothing. It's the big game of the year, and we're ready. And that's what it felt like. I think the music plays into that. I think the chosen clips and how they interweave the story plays into that. And PlayStation are good at that. So I'm gonna give it a 9. Where could it be improved? As much as I like games out of Japan, I think state of plays are always good when they have a bigger range and a bigger range of games too. So that's the only improvement I would make. But like we said, they already announced it was going to be very specific. But that's my opinion. I know someone will be like, Nintendo Direct was better. I don't care. It wasn't. So yeah.
I am not sure whether I want to give it an 8 or a 9.
Give it an 8.
Yeah, if I was harsh with Nintendo, I should be harsh with PlayStation. No. I'm gonna say 9. Partly because you convinced me when you were saying your answer. But I think it goes to show you the different ideologies of the two gaming heavyweights.
Mhm.
And as you quite rightly said, Nintendo had an AEW kind of approach where they were like, get everyone in. Whereas PlayStation here took more of a WWE approach.
Triple H, please, let's be specific. That man before was giving us crap.
We're not acknowledging whoever that man was. I don't know who that man is. The current game era. But you have less matches, but those matches mean more.
Yes.
Similarly, you had less games than that was announced in the Nintendo Direct, but the games meant more. You had more time with each game. Tekken got 2 or 3 whole minutes. God of War got 2 or 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Dragon got 2 minutes. And yeah, you didn't get gameplay. Some of it was just trailer, but it was enough for you to be like, okay, I want to see more of that. And for games that you got stuff already, you didn't get the same stuff again. You got a bit more. You got exclusive information or like info that Hogwarts Legacy is going to have a PlayStation exclusive mission. You got nuggets of information that meant that you needed to check out this state of play. I'm going to say a 9 because Nintendo did start and finish hot, but PlayStation started with Tekken 8 and finished with God of War Ragnarok. And this is completely subjective. Yes, I'm biased, but those games are for me. I love Tekken. It's my favorite fighting game franchise out of the big 3, and in general, to be honest. And God of War is my favorite game of all time. Ragnarok looks so peng. I'm so ready to play. And the fact that they've announced that Tyr is going to be in the game, and it seems like he's going to be helping you. Why he's going to be helping me? I want to know. Where is he? I just want to get into it already. It's a 9 out of 10. And it was, I think half the time, it was 20 minutes-ish.
Yes, it was. That's my agenda. That's what the 9's going to be. I'm going to just be real. Keep it short and sweet, please.
I think 20 minutes is actually ideal. If you're not going to have breaks in between your live stream, just keep it short, keep it simple. And I am a big fan of their strategy to say, hey guys, this is the state of play. This is what you can expect. Because when it comes to PlayStation fanboys and PlayStation haters, it's going to be, this is an F because you didn't give me Final Fantasy VII Part 2. This is an F because you didn't give me Spider-Man 2. Whereas if you're told that this is going to be indies only, or this is going to be Japanese devs only, you can't then say that.
And then people will.
Yeah, but then you're just an idiot because they told you what you're getting.
Yeah.
So I have an extra question because I know my personal answer is this the best state of play you ever watched?
Did anything top the first one?
I would say, well, my answer is no,
Yeah.
because the one last year was better in my opinion, because that's the one you got Wolverine, Spider-Man 2, and God of War Ragnarok announced.
I still really enjoyed the first one. I think it's maybe my second one. Wolverine, I've not heard enough from, and Spider-Man 2, they just gave me that and left me dry. That's third. I think the first one was just such a big occasion for me.
Yeah.
So I would say, and I think it was better produced. I even think the one you mentioned, might have been better produced as well, actually. The announcements were better. I don't think it was a better state of play.
Okay.
I think it's third.
Yeah, fair. Well, I'm gonna say right now might be a hot take, but I now think state of plays are better than Nintendo Directs. And I know people are gonna hate that and disagree with me, but I just think they have a better formula right now. And that this opinion can change, of course, but I think right now state of plays have a better formula than Nintendo Directs. I still love the Directs though.
Yeah. Ooh, E3 Xbox is really good, even though it's long. But they pretty much lean on to bang after bang after banger. They do that really well. If they
Yes.
could condense that, they're clear. They're absolutely
Yes.
clear. They're because they do it really well. They just be like, and they just put in their world exclusive, and then that's it. They're gone. They're clear. That's all they have to do.
Hey, my favorite thing about the Xbox showcases is how they have that guy going world premiere,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone gets gassed, and everyone confuses it for an exclusive, but it was just a world premiere. But it works. It's a nice little trick, like you said with the Tekken opening up the state of play. It's a nice little trick to just get people thinking, oh, okay, I need to pay attention to these guys.
Yeah.
I will say Xbox have amazing production value, and every year they kill it at E3.
Yes.
I was told that they have their version of State of Play and Direct, but I'm not familiar, so I don't know what's going on there. But I think they should definitely get on that wagon. 20-30 minute presentations every now and then. I think those could be really, really good, especially with Xbox being probably the most personable brand out of the three.
Yeah. I think they have an ID3 or ID3, something like that. But
Mm.
I have to look into it. They might be, but they have really good production value.
Excellent.
They'll definitely wipe everyone out if they wanted to. In that sense, yes.
Final question for you, Troy. If you had to pick one game from the Direct and one game from the State of Play to have in your hands right now to play, what games would they be?
Oh, I'm gonna make a lot of enemies to say Tunic from.
But it's for you, isn't it?
Yeah, for me, when I caught that game, it's less to do with the Direct. Ironically, I caught it outside. I really wanted to play it, and that hasn't changed. And I've not played the previous Zelda games at all, so until I do that, I won't know how you people feel. God of War, Tekken will be a fun game, and I'm here for fun. But there was something about that presentation that made me want it more than I've ever wanted the game before, and I've wanted many, many games. If everyone knows me, I'm a big platform fan. Waited so long for Ratchet & Clank, which I still don't have. Yeah, I want God of War more, so there we are. And I barely played the first one, so yeah, there's a very out there, the first one, but it's personal preference, isn't it? That's what we love about these things.
I think that's what is great about gaming. And I personally love that because it's not just the answer that I'm expecting from everyone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It makes you unique as a gamer, as a player, as a person. I love it. I think for me, the answer is GoldenEye and God of War Ragnarok. But I want to stress how difficult it was to say God of War Ragnarok over Tekken 8 because Tekken 8 was up there. Part of me was gonna say that I locked off the state of play because that was it. They started off at, it's all downhill from there, but Ragnarok is gonna be great. They've built up enough equity with me with several years of games, so I trust that brand. I'm ready for that game. There's not much more to say. That's the only game I think that can even challenge Elden Ring for Game of the Year. So
yeah, it really is at this point.
I'm ready. And Troy, you have the 9th of November to finish God of War by. This is a fun deadline for you.
I'm gonna play it. If I finish it or not, if I get the majority of the story, then great. Gonna do what I did with Splatoon. Just get the gist, and then once it comes out, I'm not gonna stress myself. I just need to have a gist. Actually, no, I don't. I might play in December. I might wait. I think I might hold off and actually have time to complete because obviously we make content. Actually, that deadline doesn't exist for me. You people can stream it, play it. I don't care. It's not going to stop me. I watch plenty of streams and then jump on games afterwards. So yeah, it would be the same. I would just play it at some point afterwards. But I'm looking forward to it.
Let us know in the comments which showcase you preferred, whether it was the Nintendo Direct, the State of Play. Rate each showcase out of 10. And let us know what your answer to my question is. If you could pick one game from each showcase to have in your hands right now to play, what games are you picking? And there's going to be several games out there that you can watch on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Streamcast. Subscribe. Get us to 1,000 subs so we can get making more content for you people. So get subscribing. You can catch great content developed, produced, edited by Troy, including Let's Plays, reviews by Troy, myself, and Akira, podcasts just like this one. And if you're watching one of our videos right now, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Tap the bell, set it to all so you get every video as soon as they go live. Leave a comment because all of that helps us so greatly expand our reach. You can also follow us on Twitch, Streamcast TV. We stream live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from about 9 p.m. BST. And you can catch me playing games such as Shifu, Sekiro, Pokemon. Hey, I love them all. AAA games, indie darlings like Ken and Bridge of Spirits. I love all games.
Ask him what he's going to do in November. When God of War and Pokemon are out.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's God of War. God of War only. November is Odin's month. That's it. I'm going to get Pokemon, but it's going to take a backseat. You have to respect that. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, Streamcast_, where the genius of TikTok right here, Troy, is out there putting in the damn work.
I'm on break because I'm ill.
But you can also
have sick leave. Look at that. I mean, it's unpaid. We have sick leave.
I think we have a good system here. Yeah,
we do.
And on our Instagram, you can always check out great reels, and on our Twitter, you can catch the greatest takes in all of gaming. So make sure you follow us there. Our website, thestreamcast.co.uk, you can catch our blogs there. We just put one out. 5 games we are looking to play this autumn. What games are you looking forward to playing this season? Let us know in the comments. And you can also listen to our podcasts on any podcasting platform that you listen to pods on. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, anything that you listen to your pods on. Or Sounder. You can actually get every platform we're on the Sounder link. So make sure to check out streamcast.sounder.fm. I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Streamcast. Thank you so much for chilling with us. Thank you so much for joining me, Troy. Until next time, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Stay safe. We'll see you on the next Streamcast.